Have you ever wondered why so many people talk about the Akashic Records, yet so few feel they've actually accessed them? Some people spend years meditating, reading, searching, hoping for a breakthrough, and feel like nothing ever really happens. Others claim instant access, cosmic visions, hidden knowledge, yet what they receive often feels fragmented, confusing, or inconsistent. According to Edgar Cayce, this isn't a mystery at all. In fact, he explained very clearly why this happens, and the explanation has nothing to do with worthiness, spiritual rank, psychic gifts, or being chosen. Before we go any further, let me say this gently. If you're drawn to Edgar Cayce's teachings, the Akashic Records, and the deeper nature of consciousness, this channel is built for exactly that. So if you'd like to support this work and make sure you don't miss future teachings drawn directly from Cayce's readings, take a moment to subscribe. It helps this channel reach others who are searching quietly, just like you, and it ensures you won't miss what's coming next. Now, let's continue. Cayce taught that the reason most people struggle to access the Akashic Records has nothing to do with being blocked, excluded, or not spiritual enough. The real reason is far more subtle. And once you understand it, something important begins to relax inside you, because the door was never locked. It was simply misunderstood. One of the greatest misunderstandings surrounding the Akashic Records is the idea that they exist as a distant archive, a cosmic library somewhere beyond the mind. Edgar Cayce never taught this. He explained that the Akashic Records are the energetic imprint of the soul's experience, recorded not in a place, but in consciousness itself. Every thought you've had, every intention you've carried, every choice, action and consequence. All of it leaves an impression, not as memory in the human sense, but as vibration, pattern and awareness. This is why Cayce emphasized that the records are accessed through the subconscious, not through the conscious intellect. The conscious mind analyzes, the subconscious receives. And this single distinction explains why so many sincere people struggle. Most people approach the Akashic Records the same way they approach learning anything else. They try harder, they concentrate, they visualize, they attempt to control the experience. But Cayce warned that the conscious mind, when overly active, interferes with the very process it's trying to initiate. Why? Because the conscious mind is designed to protect identity. It evaluates, it judges, it compares. It asks, is this real? Am I doing it right? What does this mean? The subconscious does not respond to interrogation, it responds to alignment. So when effort increases, access often decreases. Not because effort is wrong, but because effort belongs to the wrong faculty. Cayce explained a paradox that many people find difficult to accept. Trying to access the Akashic Records often prevents access. This doesn't mean discipline or sincerity is a problem. It means control and receptivity cannot operate simultaneously. When the conscious mind tries to force an experience, the subconscious withdraws. Why? Because the subconscious is protective. It filters information based on readiness, not desire. Cayce taught that knowledge without application can become a burden to the soul. So information is released gradually, quietly, safely. This is why people often feel nothing is happening, when in reality, integration is taking place beneath awareness. Expectation is one of the most overlooked barriers Cayce identified. When someone expects visions, symbols, or dramatic insight, the conscious mind begins searching for confirmation. And when the mind searches, it interprets. This is where imagination can masquerade as spiritual insight. Cayce was clear that imagination is not inherently bad, but it is not the same as reception. True insight arrives without emotional charge. It doesn't demand belief. Often, it feels so subtle that people dismiss it entirely. This leads to a quiet truth Cayce emphasized. Many people receive guidance without recognizing it. They call it intuition, a gut feeling, a sense of knowing. Cayce would say, that is access. Another reason many people cannot access the Akashic Records is fear. Often fear they don't consciously recognize. This isn't fear in the dramatic sense, it's quieter than that. Fear of being wrong, fear of imagining things, fear of opening something they won't understand, fear of losing control of their own thoughts. Edgar Cayce taught that the subconscious mind is deeply protective. It does not open simply because someone is curious. It opens when the inner environment feels safe. When the subconscious senses fear, pressure, or urgency, it tightens, not to block truth, but to prevent confusion. This is why people can meditate for years and feel nothing, yet receive sudden clarity during moments of peace, grief resolution, or deep prayer. The difference is not technique, it's emotional safety. Cayce emphasized that insight must serve growth, not overwhelm. If information would create anxiety, obsession, or ego inflation, the subconscious withholds it automatically, not as punishment, but as protection. One of the most common frustrations people report is silence. They sit quietly, they meditate, they listen, and nothing seems to happen. But Edgar Cayce taught that silence is not emptiness. Silence is often integration. The subconscious does not respond on demand. It releases insight when the soul is ready to use it, not simply hear it. Many people assume that if no images appear, no voices speak, and no visions arise, then nothing is happening. Cayce would say the opposite. Often the most important shifts happen beneath awareness. Where beliefs soften, emotional patterns loosen, and inner alignment forms. The records are not theatrical, they are functional. Cayce taught that the Akashic Records are always present. Access is not about opening a door, it's about removing interference. The subconscious mind acts as a gatekeeper, not deciding if access is allowed, but how much can be safely received. Information comes in layers, sometimes as intuition, sometimes as emotional recognition, sometimes as sudden clarity with no obvious source. And often, people don't label this as Akashic access at all. They say things like, "I just knew. It suddenly made sense. I don't know why, but I felt guided." According to Cayce, that is the records functioning naturally. There is an important detail many people overlook. Edgar Cayce himself could not access the Akashic Records consciously. He required a trance state. He had no waking memory of what came through. He did not choose the information. If access were about willpower, intellect, or mastery, Cayce would have demonstrated it. Instead, his entire process was built on surrender. He trusted the subconscious completely. This alone dismantles the idea that effort creates access. Cayce did not take information, he allowed it. And that allowance made him one of the clearest channels on record. Cayce observed that many people access soul information during ordinary moments. While dreaming, while praying, while creating, while helping others, while emotionally open. Why? Because the conscious mind steps aside. There is no striving, no performance, no demand for outcome. Access happens not because someone is gifted, but because they are unresisting. This is why people sometimes receive profound insight while walking, bathing, or waking from sleep. They weren't trying to access anything, they were simply present. Edgar Cayce never taught rituals for forcing access. He never taught initiations. He never taught hierarchy, secrecy, or spiritual rank. Any system that creates fear, urgency, or superiority contradicts his work. Cayce believed access was natural, but it unfolds according to readiness and purpose, not desire. Not everyone needs conscious access. Many souls receive exactly what they need through intuition, experience, and life itself. So why can't most people access the Akashic Records? Because they are reaching outward instead of inward. Because they seek experience instead of alignment. Because they use the conscious mind to reach something that responds to the subconscious. And because they mistake silence for failure, when silence often signals preparation. The records are not impressed by effort. They respond to familiarity, to resonance, to inner balance. Edgar Cayce made this clear. The Akashic Records are not hidden from you. They are revealed gradually, as the soul becomes ready to use what it receives wisely. In the next video, we'll explore how Cayce described natural access, without rituals, without fear, and without forcing anything. If this explanation brought clarity or relief, you're exactly where you need to be. And if you'd like to continue this journey, subscribe and stay with us here on Mystic Podcast Cruise, the Edgar Cayce Files. Because understanding consciousness isn't about unlocking secrets. It's about remembering how awareness works.